Bert Vandenberg with NSER, it's a funding agency here in Ottawa. You talked a lot about the results, the various strategies, the various plans. Very interesting, thank you. Could you speak a little bit about the process that is used to develop these plans? I know there's very many of them, but perhaps something that you've been more particularly involved in. Thank you.
Okay, policy making process. I take the example of middle and long-term plan for science technology development. And in the year 2003, the State Council decided to make such a middle and long-term plan. So at the very beginning, they have a meeting. The meeting in I think it's in June 2003. So invite some top scientists, economical nature scientists, or economists or social scientists. So they have a meeting. Then they talk about future 2020. So economics emphasize the function of or role of foreign technology. During the past 40 years or even 50 years, Chinese industry established based on important technology. So in the future, still, after China joined the WTO, the environment for China is easier than before to get the foreign technology. That is one kind of opinions. And the nature scientists said, no, in the future, it is not so easy to get foreign technology because we have more competitor than ever. That is another one. So so it is not so easy to get the capacity. So not technology. Technology can buy through the market, but capacity cannot be trade through the important technology. That is the first stage. After that, we have 20 research group focus specific issues, which of course contribute to the middle and long-term plan for science technology development. These documents. After 1.5 years, all these research groups deliver the report. All the report emphasize we are facing the problems, environment protections, resources constraint, and population, and so on. And after that, this is in the process of drafting the middle and long-term plan for science technology, and it takes about six months. And then during that time, we have a lot of experts, internationally. We have invited David King from UK, and from Netherlands, and from United States. Also, I think, come to China. We have a workshop to talk about the future. So I still remember David King said, in UK we never care about the issue 10 years away. That is, nowadays, UK also care about 10 years later, beyond 10 years. So that is very interesting. Of course, have a lot of representatives from different stakeholders join during the strategic studies and during the drafting the plan process. They have a lot of. So I still remember we have a field work to Huawei technology, to some industry, and where there are opinions. So I think this is a very inclusive process. A lot of stakeholders involved in the process.
Hi, Philippe Olivier Giroux. I'm also from NSERC. I was wondering, in something I'm not sure I saw in your presentation, I was wondering if you also have some strategic directions in terms of international collaborations. So be it, for instance, increasing your presence on international initiatives or partnering with specific countries or specific areas. So I was just wondering if you have any thoughts on that, or basically any strategic directions, or yeah.
Thank you. I think international cooperation, you can ask our Mao consulate. So I personally, when I was 12 years ago, when I conduct technology foresight, I know in specific areas, the country's competitive strength is different. So, of course, we can follow this track to cooperate with other countries. But in practice, the research level is just one indicator. The second, maybe most important, is willingness. You want to cooperate with, for example, if you want to, I want to cooperate with you, you have no willingness. That is cannot happen. So willingness and the research level and lots of factors determine the internationalization. So Chinese government also put a lot of money. I think the money for the international cooperation increased very fast during 10 years. That is the symbol for foreign scientists. Believe the word is cooperation word.
I have two more questions, and then I think we have to draw to a close. So, he goes first.
Thank you very much for a great overview of science and technology policy development in China. My name is Carissa Wong. I'm an associate research fellow for the Center for International Sustainable Development Law. And you mentioned that there's green growth innovation policies that are going in China related to climate change and renewable energy. And I actually just attended the Canadian Climate Forum, and I heard at that forum that China has come up with carbon trading policies. And I was just wondering if you can comment on those policies, and specifically related to like capacity building and sort of the multidisciplinary approaches that you've been talking about with innovation.
Yeah. So far, I think the researchers between the innovation and the climate change is divided. Different people work. So I try to bring these kind of people together. In our institute, we have at least two or three groups, research groups, are good at the so-called the sustainable development. Nowadays, another new name is climate change, low carbon, green. But before they called green or low carbon is sustainable development. So you mentioned the carbon trade systems in China. Yes, as I know, Chinese government want to introduce these systems. We have some discussion with that. Detailed, maybe you can contact my colleagues. So our institute is also very strong in this field in China.
I studied in China 1 year before. I come from China, and in the middle of China. You said in China we label people in different level, and we label different university and institutes. And when I studied in Suzhou University, as I know, we don't share resources with other universities, and we don't cooperate with each other very well. Especially different institutes such as famous universities and some normal universities. Do you think we are going to fix this kind of problems in the future?
That is, it depends the scientist. It is very often the phenomenon you mentioned. So I always say to university professor, you are peasant. You work individual. So in our institute, I always talk with my staff. We should use the industrialization, this flag, to fight with professors in university because they are peasant. So we emphasize teamwork, we emphasize collaborations, not only within the institute, but also with other institutions. So sooner or later, I think cooperation is the major trait for science technology research, I think. Because, maybe we have to change the value orientation. If the value orientation cannot be changed, this situation cannot be changed. For example, all the people want to emphasize, put my name in the first when published. That is the big issue nowadays. Or as a male authors. That is in our institute we understand, we not emphasize this one. We emphasize the real contribution, what you meant. So that is difficult to measure sometimes, but this is our effort. This is so for as I know, the cooperation between universities is easier than within university.
Thank you very much. I think that's a good place to stop. Before we go to refreshments, which are in another room, and I'm told they're very good, refreshing refreshments, so they're worth visiting. Just very quickly, some thank yous. So thanks to Nick and Jonathan for making this possible. Also to Moshi Sang back there, standing up, who has done a huge amount of work on this conference, on this event, and to Rachel So on the other side. And then finally to the two speakers who have introduced the event, Paul Dufour, who is an adjunct professor at the Institute for Science, Society and Policy, and a well-known science policy expert, well-known in Canada. And also Margaret McQuaig-Johnston, who is not only a science policy expert, but also a policy expert period, who has been the executive vice president of NSERC and has been a senior manager in other departments in government. So thanks a lot for this help, and I invite you now just to say one last thank you to our speaker, who will join us for a reception in, I think, over there in the other room.